What up, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Downtown Melo. You're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio, live from Orlando for Thursday, December 28th, 2023, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Melo, that's REYMELO, on Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. And now we look back at some of the major entertainment news stories for the year 2023. What pop culture moment defined 2023? Was it Britney Spears' bombshell memoir, Beyonce's life-changing Renaissance tour, or Bad Bunny and Kendall Jenner becoming an item? Of course, 2023 was more than just entertainment news and gossip, but there's no denying the grip these pop culture moments had on social media timelines and group chats with friends. It was a year in which one could hardly go anywhere without seeing or hearing Taylor Swift's name. Celebrity divorces were aplenty, and though Hollywood reckoned with historic dual writers and actor strikes in 2023, studios managed to squeeze out box office hits Barbie and Oppenheimer, or Barbenheimer, as the internet dubbed. This was the year celebrities unapologetically buried it all on the pages of their memoirs. In Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me, the singer opened up about her 13-year conservatorship, the hashtag Free Britney movement, and her romantic relationship with Justin Timberlake. She revealed that she had become pregnant with Timberlake's child when she was 19 and decided to get an abortion. After sobbing and screaming for hours because the pain was unbelievable while terminating her pregnancy, Spears claimed her then-boyfriend joined her on the bathroom floor and strummed his guitar in an attempt to soothe her. Rewind to the top of the year in January, you might recall Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, released his tell-all memoir, Spare. He discussed topics ranging from how he dealt with his mother's death to his tours in Afghanistan and his relationship with brother Prince William and sister-in-law Kate Middleton. Several celebrity couples, some of which are all but officially confirmed, that weren't on our 2023 bingo cards emerged this year. Take Kylie Jenner and Timothy Chalamet, who have been rumored to be dating since spring. Though they haven't made things official, they were pictured together at the U.S. Open and other major events, fueling speculation about their romance. Also, it looks no further than older sister Kendall Jenner, who had been linked to reggaeton singer Bad Bunny for months. Paparazzi photos, a shared Gucci campaign, and some suspicious lyrics that kept fans guessing, although now rumors are that the two have reportedly split. Then there's Miss Americana and her NFL prince. As the lore goes, what started as a failed friendship bracelet pass-off has since blossomed into what might be the most surprising relationship of the year. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. A football game appearance here, a visit to Argentina there, and the two have shown no signs of slowing down. Who run the world, Beyonce or Taylor Swift? After performing her career spanning 3.5-hour show more than 60 times over, it's official. Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour is the first tour in history to earn more than $1 billion, according to Pollstar. The show, a true physical feat as Swift navigates a set list that is mind-boggling 45 songs long, has boosted local economies and spawned a movie that had the biggest opening for a concert film of all time. Right behind Swift in the ranking of the year's highest-grossing tours was Beyonce's Renaissance World Tour. In the months after she became the most decorative artist in Grammy Awards history, Beyonce went on to sell a reported $579.8 million in tickets to her tour. Her concert documentary, Renaissance of Film by Beyonce, which she wrote, directed, and produced, opened at number 1 in its first weekend in North America. The two powerhouses have also supported each other through these career milestones. Beyonce quietly made an appearance at Swift's Eras Tour movie premiere in Los Angeles, and Swift flew overseas to attend the Renaissance film premiere in London. In February, Rihanna had a very unexpected special guest on stage during her Super Bowl halftime performance, her baby bump. She caressed her stomach throughout her performance. Social media went wild with speculations about whether this was a pregnancy announcement. Shortly after Rihanna ended her 13-minute set, Her representative confirmed that the Barbados-born superstar was indeed expecting baby number 2. 6 months later, her second son with A$AP Rocky, Riot Rose Mayers, was born. Everything Everywhere All at Once surpassed all expectations for an indie film about multiverse hopping with hot dog fingers, talking rocks, and googly eyes. It was a box office hit and racked up Golden Globe, Screen Actor Guilds, and Critic Choice Awards before it concluded the award season in February with banging a stunning 7 Oscars in the 10 categories in which it was nominated. Michelle Yeoh wasn't wrong when she called the moment history in the making during her acceptance speech for the Best Actress Oscar. She was the first Asian person in the show's 95-year history to be awarded in the category. Yeoh's co-star and on-screen husband, Kye-Young Kwan, became the second Asian man to win Best Supporting Actor. It was a win for the directors and writers Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schulner, actors, and most importantly, the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. The summer of strikes culminated in new contracts for the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and the Writers Guild of America. After SAG-AFTRA's historic 118-day strike and Writers Guild America's 148-day strike against the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, actors and writers were able to get back to work on late-night TV shows, studio films, and beloved TV shows. The effect will be felt as 2024 gets underway, though, as Hollywood scrambles to catch up on projects that were largely put on hold since May when WGA members went on strike. Royals and dignitaries from around the world descended upon London in May to see King Charles II's ascension to the throne, following his late mother Queen Elizabeth II's death in September 2022. There were show-stopping headpieces and jewelry, a balcony appearance by the British royal family, Zayn's Prince Harry and Prince Andrew, and a procession at Buckingham Palace in a gilded carriage as the king and the queen consort, Queen Camilla, were crowned. Though Prince Harry was in attendance for his father's coronation, Duchess Meghan and their children were not. This July, Barbenheimer went from a silly meme to a box office juggernaut. Greta Gerwig's Barbie, full of delightful 2023 defining moments such as Ryan Gosling's I'm Just Ken and American Ferrera's monologue, had the biggest opening of the year and broke the first weekend record for a film directed by a woman. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer became the highest-grossing R-rated movie of the year. In all, the unlikely duo combined power culminated in the 4th biggest box office weekend in history. Nothing lasts forever, yet fans were shocked to learn that couples they'd long be rooting for were calling it quits this year. Power couples such as Joe Manganiello and Sofia Vergara, Reese Witherspoon and Jim Thoth, and Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner were among the list of celebrities who filed for divorce this year. Ariana Grande and Dalton Gomez, Cardi B and Offset, Britney Spears and Sam Asghari, Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness, and Kevin Costner and Christine Baumgartner also ended their marriage. Some played out more amicably. For others, things have turned ugly as Jonas and Turner's custody battle plays out in court, and Cardi B had made claims about infidelity on social media. After years of delays, ABC's The Golden Bachelor finally premiered this fall. The new spin-off show, starring 72-year-old Jerry Turner, rejuvenated longtime fans who were tired of the decades-old formula and attracted new audiences as evidenced by its impressive viewership. For 9 weeks, viewers saw a nail-biter pickleball tournament, a 50s diner flash mob, and more than one coy reference to knocking boots in the fantasy suites. Not only did the Midwesterner widower get engaged to his final choice, Teresa Nist, after exploring 21 other women in their golden years, but he also intends to wed his ring winner, Post Haas. The golden couple is set to wed live on TV on January 4th. With as much chaos as 2023 brought, it also featured some outstanding memes. Here are the very best of those social media memes. Girl Diner. The trend was started by TikTok user Olivia Mayer, who coined the random selection of bites on her plate as Girl Dinner. The Roman Empire, the meme started when women would ask their male partner how often do they think about the fallen empire, and to their bemusement, men would respond by saying they think about it frequently. The Grimace Shakes. McDonald's began selling the berry-flavored shakes in June. However, a trend emerged on TikTok. Users would make videos drinking the shakes before collapsing and convulsing, with the Grimace mascot becoming some sort of villain. Barbie. There couldn't be a list of memes in 2023 without Barbie. The movie's release led to the online world going pink crazy. The movie went viral alongside another much-anticipated movie release, Oppenheimer, creating the famous Barbieheimer. Kevin James. A stock photo of the actor with his shoulders shrugged and hands in his pockets went viral. The meme quickly became one of the most popular online, with James's expression being used to convey all sorts of ridiculous scenarios. It was a phenomenal year for movies. With the long shadow of the pandemic in retreat, cinemas came back to all its infinitive variety, filling theaters to such an extent that the term Barbenheimer was coined to describe two summer movies that opened on the same day and shattered box office records. If you had hoped for Barbie, a film about a doll, or Oppenheimer, an epic about a nuclear doomsday, but look at them now, heading into the Oscar race with dollar signs attached to their rave reviews. Both ranked high among the year's best, joining another classic about America's violent past from beloved master Martin Scorsese, and an achy, tender romance from South Korean newcomer Celine Song, whose young talent is just beginning to blossom. So here, starting at the number 10 and working our way up, are the 10 best movies of 2023. And number 10 was Barbie. A Hollywood hack could have turned the backstory of a Mattel doll into a quick buck opportunity. Instead, trailblazing director Greta Gerwig gifted us with a hot pink fantasia of feminist art that refused to play it safe as Margot Robbie, doubt-plagued Barbie, teams up with Ryan Gosling's clueless Ken to keep you thinking long after the laughs died down. And the dudes who think Gerwig's takedown of the patriarchy means she's a hater to men aren't paying attention. Gerwig is a woman of heart and mind. Listen up and you might just learn something. Number 9, there was May December, Todd Haynes' slippery tease of a movie that has been classified as a comedy. So how does that explain the tears falling from your eyes? Focus on the heart-crushing performance from Charles Melton as a stunned man-child still reeling from his marriage to a woman, a thorny complex Julianne Moore, jailed for seducing him when he was just a 7th grader. With Natalie Portman hitting a new career peak as the manipulative actress preparing to bring that skewed love story to the screen, you'll be thrown thrilling off balance. Number 8 is The Holdovers, already hailed as a new holiday classic. This fresh triumph from Sideways director Alexander Payne delivers warmth that shouldn't be mistaken for weakness. Paul Giamatti shines as a grinchy teacher who is forced to remain on campus during Christmas break to babysit Dominic Sez's Angus, a student with nowhere to go. And Oscar frontrunner Divine Joy Randolph is the school cook who can't laugh off her pain as the film turns cliches into hard truths. Number 7 is The Zone of Interest. Jonathan Glazer is the kind of risk-taker who creates a film about the Holocaust and then makes his point by not showing us anything about the horrors that took place as Nazis exterminated Jews at Auschwitz. Instead, Glazer focuses on Commandant Rudolf Haas, played by Christian Friedel, as he and his wife Hedwig, played by Sandra Hüller, and their children go about the mundane business of living as if they couldn't see the smoke and hear the screams coming from just next door. Echoing the scary rise of anti-Semitism today, this urgent warning is hard to watch and impossible to forget. Number 6 was Maestro. As star, director, and co-writer, Bradley Cooper topped his career in this raw and romantic crescendo of a movie about conductor-composer Leonard Bernstein. The Oscar belongs to Cooper for his heart full to bristling tour de force as the maestro whose passions can't be confined to one kind of music or one sex. Carey Mulligan is his emotional equal as the wife who lives with Bernstein's angels and demons. Alive with glorious music, Cooper's labor of love catches up with the experience of watching a genius in the exhilarating act of reinventing himself. Number 5 is American fiction. There is a rush of fresh comedic thinking in writer-director Carl Jefferson. Dazzling debut features. In his best and most bracing film role to date, Jeffrey Wright stars as Monk, a black novelist who feels angry and frustrated that his well-reviewed books never sell. It seems the public only panties up for stories that juggle traps about black poverty and violence. So Monk joins the enemy club under a pseudonym and hits play dirt with hilarious and pointedly satiric results. This tale of an artist selling out his principles will make you laugh till it hurts. Number 4 is The Anatomy of a Fall. No list of the greatest film actors of 2023 could be complete without Hewler, also starring in the out-fermented Zone of Interest, who burns up the screen in Justine Treff's forensic Anatomy of a Marriage. Told through the compulsively watchable tale of a wife on trial for killing her husband by pushing him out the window, the film pins you to your seat as a successful author forces to deal with the failure of her far from better half, played by Samuel Thias. Hewler gives a performance you can't shake. The same goes for the devilishly clever script by Tiret and her husband, author Hajari, who merges a brilliant battle of the sexes with the courtroom thriller for the ages. Number 3 is Poor Things, prepared to be wowed by Emma Stone's nakedly unafraid performance in this rowdy and rapturously beautiful blast of feminine whoop-ass from director Yorgos Lanthimos. Stone plays a pregnant and suicidally unhappy wife who plunges to her watery death only to be reanimated by a nut-job scientist played by Willem Dafoe, who swaps her dead brain for that of her unborn child and waits until she can take baby steps into a sexual and psychological awakening. Lanthimos is a mature provocateur who doesn't make movies like anyone else. You won't know what hit you. Number 2 is Fast Lives. Writer-director Celine Song gets ingloriously right her first time out, crafting a lyrical work of art out of her own life as a 12-year-old girl who leaves her family home and her boy crush Hae-sung in South Korea to grow up in Canada. The luminous Greta Lee stars as the adult Nora, who now is a playwright in New York City, and married to author played by John Margarlo. An American, when Hae-sung, played by Tae Yao, decides to visit Nora in Manhattan. The movie spins on that pitiable reunion, uniting Nora and Ha-sung through bonds of language and culture that basically cuts author out of the equation. Delicate business is being transacted in this transfixing beauty of a film, Past Lives. And number 1 is a tie between The Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer. They are the twin peaks of this banner film year. Couldn't wait one over the other. Greatness is written over Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese's sorrowful epic about the long history of U.S. mistreatment of Native Americans, underlined by the stupendous acting from Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Oscar favorite Lily Gladstone as the Osage Oil Harris caught in a murderous trap by greedy white men. Killers is a classic Scorsese movie. And Oppenheimer is a classic Christopher Nolan movie, a generation younger than Scorsese, but also possessed of the mind of a visionary and the soul of a poet. You can see it in Nolan's brilliant brush take on J. Robert Oppenheimer, a flawed Cillian Murphy, the conflicted architect of the atomic age. Just as Scorsese unearths the tangled root of American racism, Nolan triggers the nightmare of nuclear annihilation that we can't still wake up from. Through the past, these all-time filmmaking giants speak profoundly right to this very minute. Here are the lists of the top 10 greatest moments in television for 2023. Number 10, The Great. Season 3 of Hulu's occasional true comedy about Catherine the Great finds the Empress in a sticky situation, having wrestled the throne from her incompetent husband Peter. She's determined to improve life for working-class Russians, but her vision progress might just cause class warfare. And there are a few additional problems. She neglected to kill Peter, she's pregnant with the heir to the throne, and much to her frustration, she can't help but love Peter against her better judgment. In its third and tragic final season, The Great clobbers Catherine with personal challenges, But through it all, the show remains as delightfully violent and vulgar as ever. Then, midway through the season, a shattering loss turns Catherine's world upside down, revealing the show's most tender and earnest face yet. When showrunner Tony McNamara penned the Bravura season finale, he had no way of knowing it would be the series finale, and yet it was an episode dense with hard-won victories and character catharsis. He lands the plane with true sense of arrival. Number 9 was Foundation. How is Apple TV's Foundation a visually spectacular adaptation of one of the most famous science fiction series of all time, somehow one of the most criminally overlooked shows of the year? A fresh course, Foundation is set in the distant future where the galactic empire is ruled by a genetic dynasty of clone emperors. When mathematician Harley Sheldon develops a complex algorithm to predict the future, he and his Foundation are banished to a remote planet. Season 2 picks up 138 years later. Lee Pace's brother Day seeks to shore up the Empire's power and shakes up the genetic dynasty by making a strategic marriage, while the Foundation, now the subject of an emerging religion, faces new threats. Foundation's best scenes involve Pace as the Emperor egotistical tyrant, and Laura Byrne as Demerzio, his steadily android major domo. In this season, the true reach of Demerzi's power is revealed as ever. The push and pull between the soulful android and her soulless master makes for some of the best television sci-fi. It's not too late to start tuning into Foundation. Number 8 is What Do We Do in the Shadows? After a century of living and loathing in Staten Island, our favorite vampire roommates are finally putting down roots. In its gut-bustling 5th season, What Do We Do in the Shadows sends the vampires out into the community as Naja reconnects with her heritage in Staten Island's Little Antipaxos, and Colin Robinson runs for local office. Meanwhile, the fallout of Season 4's cliffhanger finale shakes up the household dynamic. After a vampiric transformation gone sideways, Guillermo and Laszlo become unlikely allies in secret keeping. What a jealous landlord to do. Why flout to the outer space, of course? At 5 seasons in, plenty of sitcoms go soft, though What We Do in the Shadows never dulls its fangs. Number 7 is Barry. Like so many of its characters, Barry drew the short end of the stick. Throughout its 4th and final season, on every Sunday night, Bill Hader's labor of love had to follow Succession. All too often, the Who Will Be the CEO noise drowned out the downright extraordinary things that happened in Barry, especially in its last few episodes, mainly. Emmy-worthy performances from the likes of Sarah Goldberg and Anthony Cardigan, Hader's emergence as a great director, and a fitting yet divisive finale. But Barry should and will be forever canonized in the HBO Hall of Fame. Number 6 is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Disney Plus, Star Wars television universe flailing, while Star Trek reigns supreme at Paramount Plus. A strange new world indeed. June saw the return of the stellar Strange New Worlds, which doubled down on its multitudes of magic tricks with a bold homage to the original series and a thrilling Lower Decks, crossover and even gasp, a musical episode. In its 2nd season, Strange New Worlds took some bold swinging while yet still delivering on beloved episodic conceits like Away Mission Gone Sideways or Starfleet Court Martial. Through it all, the series remained laser-focused on what makes Star Trek sings, its thoughtful exploration of what these intergalactic dust-ups signify about our culture, our mortality, and our humanity. All told, Strange New Worlds is a labor of love by writers who live and breathe Star Trek, sure, but also it gets what it is. It's a way of using the future to tell gripping stories about who we are now. Number 5 is The Last of Us. Video game adaptation curse. If you played even an hour of The Last of Us, you'll know that the writers of the HBO series weren't exactly working with Uncharted as source materials. The Last of Us always felt more like a miniseries than a video game in the first place. Add Pedro Pascal in the mix, and the survival road trip dominated television in January and February for good reason. But what made The Last of Us survive the damn near post-apocalyptic year of 2023? It's the adaptation swerves from its source material, especially the Murray Bartlett and Nick Offerman starring episode 3, Long Time, which may very well be the best 60 minutes we ever saw this year on television. Pedro will let you protect the rabbit monsters during the apocalyptic any day. Number 4 is Jury Duty. Jury Duty shocked the world. If you somehow missed 2023's most delightful television surprise, the 8-episode series followed, yes, a ragtag group of jurors. Colorful characters abound as they deliberate on a case. The twist? One of the jurors doesn't know they're on a TV show. Enter Ronald Gladden, who thinks that fellow juror James Marsden, who plays himself, is an honest-to-God asshole. But this isn't a prank show, and we're not meant to laugh at Ronald. As the shenanigans unfold over the course of Jury Duty, what emerges is a surprising, humane portrayal of the man you think is the butt of the joke. Number 3 is Succession. Television's best-crafted drama officially came to an end with Season 4, but Succession went out on top form. Season 4 found the adult children of media mogul Logan Roy unite in a tenuous alliance against their father, who arranged to sell the family business and their inheritance. After years of spying and backstabbing, the Roys tried to stick together to get the better of the father who tormented them. As Succession approached the finish line, it remained characteristically excellent, snappy, smart, and devastating. Number 2 was Reservation Dogs. Where does a television go after giving its leads exactly what they always wanted? Leave it to Reservation Dogs to rise to the challenge, and with such bittersweet beauty, no less. The outstanding swan song of FX's groundbreaking comedy sees its crew of indigenous teens achieve a long-held goal. After 2 seasons spent scheming to realize their late friend's dream of moving to California, Season 3 finds them at last at a Santa Monica beach. But before too long, they've lost their car and their cash, and soon enough, a series of detours led them back to their sleepy reservation home of Oakirk, Oklahoma. But as T.S. Eliot once wrote, the end of all of our exploring will be arrived when we start and know the place for the first time. In this extraordinary final episodes, Willie, Jack, Elora, Bear, and Cheese develop a maturing appreciation for the community they fought so hard to leave. As ever, Reservation Dogs is unflinching about the painful injustice of life on a reservation, but tender in its depiction of community bonds. As Willie Jack's aunt, played by Lily Gladstone, tells her, that's how community works. It's sprawling, it spreads. What do you think they came for when they tried to get rid of us? Our community, you break that and you break the individual. And the number 1 TV moment of 2023 was The Bear. Say it one more time. Yes, Chef. Just a year after its dazzling debut, The Bear returned for another go-round in the Windy City. And Season 2 could have been exactly that. Another few shifts on the line with Jeremy Allen White and company. Stress, food, and a guest star or two. More stress, and we would have liked it just fine. But that's not what happened. Instead, The Bear opted for a mostly slowed-down, meditative 10 episodes. The result is breathtaking. By stripping down the shouting matches, The Bear allowed far more room to explore each and every member of the kitchen, right down to the kind-hearted pastry chef Marcus. Beyond its deep look at Carmy and company, The Bear asks bigger questions about what it means to pursue a life in the arts, the joys and pains that comes with it, right down to the moment you're locked in the fridge. Or maybe that's just Carmy. And it doesn't hurt that right in the middle of Season 2, The Bear serves up one of the year's best episodes. 2023's music by the numbers included Taylor Swift dominating every genre in music, country booming, and hip-hop sunk. Let's get this out of the way. Taylor Swift dominated the year in music, and it wasn't even close. 4-year-old songs of her topped the charts. She sold physical albums at head-spinning rate. Her Eras tour was an economic stimulus in every city she played. It reignited conversations about the deeply broken ticketing marketplace as fans scrambled to purchase tickets. Her relationship with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce created a frenzy around a celebrity simply attending NFL games. And she also released some damn great music. By any metric, 2023 was one of the most impressive years of all time for a singular pop star. And even that underestimates how huge the year was for Swift. but her transcendent 2023 was just one of several key trends that defined the last 365 days. The Eras Tour became the highest grossing concert tour ever in just 8 months, and it grossed more than the next two biggest tours, Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen combined. It was also the first to surpass $1 billion in ticket sales, according to Pollstar. Per the concert trade publication, Swift made $200 million in merchandise sales at her tour stops too, double her global Spotify earnings for the streams of her catalog, with more than 26.1 billion global streams on Spotify, the most Spotify has ever reported for a year-end streaming leader. The platform paid out over $100 million for Swift's catalog this year. Credit to Swift having 4 of the top most consumed albums in the United States, according to data from Luminate. Her 2022 LP Midnights came in at second, only behind Morgan Wallen's One Thing at a Time, while 1989's Taylor's Version was 4th, Lover was 6th, and Speak Now Taylor's Version took 8th. Swift also accounted for 8 of the top 25 best-performing albums in the United States this year, according to Luminate data. While Swift commands strong streaming numbers, what distinguishes her from her peers is how she kept fans buying her albums even as traditional sales have fallen heavily since she first broke through the industry in 2006. This can be attributed in part to her knack for turning physical albums into collectible items. As Billboard reported last year, she listed over 20 different physical versions of Midnights. Earlier this year, she included over a dozen options for physical versions of 1989, Taylor's Version. That album marked the first time one of her re-recorded albums outsold the original version in its debut week. While comparing Luminate's top 200 albums of 2023, Swift accounted for nearly 3 out of every 10 album sales. With 11 different albums in the top 200, those LPs amounted to about 4.8 million physical and digital sales. The rest of the top 200, excluding Swift, combined for about 11.2 million units. Swift's albums took up 5 of the top 10 slots of the Luminate year-to-end top 100 vinyl charts. With 11 of her albums on the chart, totaling over 2.8 million sales this year, she makes up about 28% of all vinyl sales on the chart. The hype around Swift's Taylor's Version re-releases, along with her massive Eras tour, boosted the rest of her catalog as well. Reputation, for example, jumped in from 118 to last year's year-end chart to all the way to 21 this year. Going into 2024, a story to watch is how Reputation, Taylor's Version, will compare to the original, assuming the re-release comes out next year, as many Swifties are expecting. Cruel Summer, meanwhile, finally topped the Hot 100 more than 4 years after its release, enjoying the resurgence as the Era Tour took over the country. Country music boomed in 2023 thanks to 2 very distinct trends. On one end, culture war songs like Jason Aldean's Try That in Some Small Town and Oliver Anthony's Rich Man North of Richmond hit the top of the Billboard Hot 100 charts when fans, many of them right-wing, bought the songs in droves on the iTunes charts. While digital song sales make up a tiny percentage of all song consumptions today, they can play an outsized role in driving tracks up the charts, since a sale is worth considerably more than a stream when it comes to chart weighing metrics. But anomalies like Aldean and Anthony serve as more of a distraction from what actually happened in the country music business this year. Country's landmark 2023 was driven much more by a major surge in streaming, thanks to heavy hitters including Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, Jelly Roll, Bailey Zimmerman, and the juggernaut that is Zach Bryan. John Loba, president of Jelly Roll's label BBR Music Group, told Rolling Stone earlier this year that the new streaming paradigm has helped give the rise to the less conventional country acts like Jelly Roll and the troubadour Bryan, adding that streaming may be weakening some of the old industry gatekeeping and could help diversify the genre in the years ahead. Loba says, to an extent, there was a certain process you went through to respect the country gatekeepers, and streaming allowed Zach to build completely around that. Last year, 5 country albums on Luminate Top 200 garnered over 1 billion streams. This year, 9 surpassed that figure. The streaming bump has expectedly grown country's representation on the year-end album charts as well, rising over 30% to 25 from 19 the year prior. With about 6.2 billion streams, according to Luminate, Wallen's One Thing at a Time was by far the most streamed album in the United States this year, besting SZA's SOS by about 2.4 billion streams. Wallen's three-year-old album, Dangerous the Double album, finished at a number 5 and had about 2.8 billion streams. Brian, who's further rocketed into superstardom this year with his first number 1 single, the Casey Musgraves duet, I Remember Everything, had 4 albums in Illuminate's year-end top 200. His 2022 album, American Heartbreak, was the 9th most streamed album in the United States with about 1.8 billion streams, and his eponymous Zach Bryan, handled in the top 25, garnered about 1.3 billion streams. Luke Combs also had 4 albums in the 200, with 2 of them past a billion streams. Getting Old, number 16 on the charts, took in 1.4 billion streams, while his 2017 debut, This One's For You, had 1.1 billion. Country's representation on the year-end Hot 100 singles charts exploded as well. While there were just 9 country songs on the list in 2018, the number has steadily increased over the past 5 years, and reaching a whopping 30 in 2023. Wallen's Last Night was, of course, the top song in the country, topped the Hot 100 for 16 non-consecutive weeks. But Combs' cover of Tracy Chapman's 1988 hit, Fast Car, also finished in the top 10 this year at number 8. K-pop took a significant blow coming into 2023 when BTS, the genre's biggest act, officially confirmed that they would go on hiatus so the group members could fulfill mandatory military duties. Some of the genre's most influential executives worry about K-pop as a whole losing steam. Bang Shik-hyo, the HYBE's chairman and the mastermind behind BTS, told CNN earlier this year, "This is my major concern. In fact, looking at our export indicators and streaming growth, the slowdown in growth is very clear." But at least from a chart perspective, the genre representation actually improved in 2023. 5 albums from 4 different groups, none of whom were BTS, topped Billboard's weekly album charts in 2023, with the Stray Kids topping the chart twice with the album 5 Star and Rockstar. Tomorrow Times Tomorrow topped the chart back in February with the name chapter Temptation. New Jeans went number 1 in August with Get Up, and As Tees got their first chart topper this month with the world EP Finn Will. While BTS as a group didn't release any new material, both Jimin and Jungkook put out solo albums before enlisting for military service. Both of them secured number 1 singles on the Hot 100 this year, with Jimin's Like Crazy topping the chart in April, and Jungkook's 7 featuring Lotto taking the crown about 3 months later. K-pop's representation on the year-end album charts improved well. While BTS's Proof was the only album to crack Illuminate's 200 list in 2022, 6 albums made the cut this year. 5 Star charted high at number 73, followed by Jungkook's Golden at number 95. Get Up came in at 108. The name chapter Redemption took 109. Twice Ready to Be took 194. And Jimin's Phase took 196. The number of Latin albums in the top 200 on Illuminate doubled from last year, up to 12 from 6 a year ago. The increase was driven most apparently by the rapid rise of regional Mexican music this year. While Bad Bunny had 4 of the 6 Latin albums on the chart last year, albums from 9 different artists, 6 of them regional Mexican acts, made it in 2023, reflected that more Latin artists were reaching mass audiences. Peso Pluma's Genesis finished at number 15 and was the 10th most streamed album in the country, per Luminate. Grupo Frontera's El Comienzo was number 62. Eslabon Armado's Des Nuevo took 88. Fueras Rillada para Hablar Bien and La Paz Baby and Biquiñada took home 146 and 172. And Ivan Cornejo, Danado took 167. Still, Bad Bunny remained by far the top performing Latin act as Un Verano Sin Ti landed at number 10. It was also Spotify's most streamed album in the world. But Bad Bunny had his 3-year reign as the world's most streamed artist come to an end when Swift dethroned him. Un Verano Sin Ti came in at number 10 on Illuminate's chart, while Nadie Sabe Que Lo Va Pasar Mañana and YHLQMDLG landed on the chart well, taking 51st and 148th respectively. Karol G's Mañana Será Bonito, meanwhile, took number 16, and his Bachata Season version landed in 164. Despite celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, the chart's dominance slipped in 2023. With artists like I Spy, Sexy Red, and Central C, rap has a promising future of bubbling stars poised to push the genre forward, but at least from a chart perspective, 2023 represented a dip for hip-hop. The number of hip-hop records in the top 200 albums of the year dropped about 17%, from 82 down to 68 from last year now, as Lemonade data reflects. With 28 more entries than pop, the next highest genre on the chart, hip-hop is still unquestionably the U.S. dominant genre. But as others continue to grow, fragmentations is becoming more prevalent. The trend was more noticeable within the top 25, where rap made up just 4 albums compared to 9 a year ago. This year, Travis Scott's Utopia was the biggest hip-hop album and took 7th. Metro Boomin's Hero and Villains came in at a 9th. Drake and 21 Savage's Her Loss took 13, and Drake's Solo for All the Dogs came in one spot below at 14. From the perspective, in 2018, hip-hop's albums claimed 7 of the top 10 slots and 14 on the top 25. While the past 7 years have suggested slight dips, 2023 was a drastic nosedive. In 2023, Sir Elton John brought a close to his touring career earlier this year after spending over 50 years on the road. Since the launch of his first tour in 1970, the 76-year-old megastar has played more than 4,000 performances in over 80 countries, including the Sunday headline slot at Glastonbury Festival in June. He played at Anfield to a sellout crowd in 2022 and then returned to Liverpool, playing the M&S Bank Arena for 2 nights in March. The final show of his highly anticipated farewell Yellow Brick Road tour took place in Stockholm, Sweden at the Tele2 Arena in July, where he performed 23 of his hit songs during a 2.5-hour-long set. Sir Elton John thanked his fans, saying, "I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for you," adding that they were in his head, heart, and soul. The monumental concert tour, which set off in 2018, was one of the highest grossing since records began, with Billboard reportedly saying that it was the first to collect $900 million US dollars in ticket sales. The Beatles made history this year by topping the UK singles chart, a record 54 years since their previous number one with their track titled Now and Then. The song, which was described as the Beatles' last track, was written and sung by John Lennon in a private recording in the late 1970s, later developed by the other members, including the late George Harrison. It was then finished by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr and released in November, decades after the original recording, with technology used to extract and isolate Lennon's vocals. It comes more than 5 decades since the Beatles last reached number one with Let It Be in 1970, and no other act in UK music history having such a long gap between the two chart toppers. Sir Paul McCartney, one of the 2 surviving Beatles, described the news as mind-boggling, telling the official charts company, "It's blown my socks off. It's also a very emotional moment for me. I love it." And after more than 6 years making music, the Rolling Stones proved in 2023 that they weren't slowing down anytime soon by releasing their first album of new music in 18 years, Hackney Diamonds. The tease of the new music started right during the new year began when guitarist Keith Richards told fans in a January 11th social media message, "There's some new music on its way and hopefully we'll get to see you." In August, a mysterious ad was placed in the British paper Hackney Gazette for something called Hackney Diamonds. Fans were quick to speculate it was a tease about a new Rolling Stones album, because in the ad, the I in Diamonds was dotted with the Stones' signature lips logo. The ad also quoted several Stones titles, including I Can Get No Satisfaction, Gimme Shelter, and Shattered. Fans' speculations were finally proven true when the Stones' social media accounts began directing folks to the new Hackney Diamonds website, teasing a new era. The official confirmation finally came on September 6th when Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood held a special media launch event in London hosted by Jimmy Fallon. They announced their 26th studio album, Hackney Diamonds, which was released on October 20th. They also debuted the album's first single, Angry, with a video featuring Euphoria actress Sydney Sweeney. The Stones recruited some very special guests to join on their record, including their late drummer Charlie Watts, former bassist Bill Wyman, Paul McCartney playing bass in one song, Lady Gaga, Stevie Wonder, and Elton John. And here are the top 10 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 single charts for the year of 2023. Number 10, David Guetta and Baby Reha with I'm Good Blue. Number 9, SZA with Snooze. Number 8, Luke Combs with Fast Car. Number 7, The Weeknd and Ariana Grande for Die For You. Number 6, Rema and Selena Gomez with Calm Down. Number 5, Metro Boomin, The Weeknd and 21 Savage with Creepin'. Number 4, Taylor Swift with Anti-Hero. Number 3, SZA with Kill Bill. Number 2, Miley Cyrus with Flowers. And the number 1 song on the Billboard Hot 100 single charts for the year of 2023, Morgan Wallen with Last Night. As we close 2023, we look back at some of the most notable figures that we lost this year. They range from giants from music, movies, television, sports, and history. This year we lost the reigning queen of rock, Tina Turner, the unstoppable singer and stage performer who teamed with husband Ike Turner for a dynamic run of hit records and live shows in the 60s and 70s, and survived her horrifying marriage to triumph in middle age with the chart-topping What's Love Got to Do with It. Tony Bennett, the eminent and timeless stylist whose devotion to classic American songs and knack for creating new standards such as I Left My Heart in San Francisco graced an 8-decade-long career that brought him admirers from Frank Sinatra to Lady Gaga. Wayne Shorter was an American jazz saxophonist, composer, and bandleader. He came to mainstream prominence in 1959 upon joining Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers, from whom he eventually became the primary composer. In 1964, he joined Miles Davis' second great quintet and then co-founded the jazz fusion band Weather Report in 1970. He recorded more than 20 albums as a bandleader, and he was acclaimed for his mastery of the soprano saxophone since switching his focus from the tenor in the late 60s and beginning an extended reign in 1970 as Downbeat's annual poll winner on that instrument, winning the critics' poll for 10 consecutive years. Ben Ratliff described Shorter in 2008 as probably jazz's greatest living small group composer and a contender for greatest living improviser. Harry Belafonte, the civil rights and entertainment giant who began as a groundbreaking actor and singer and became an activist, humanitarian, and conscious for the world. We lost Lisa Marie Presley too soon, the only child of Elvis Presley and a singer-songwriter dedicated to her father's legacy at the age of 54. Gordon Lightfoot, the legendary folk singer-songwriter known for If You Could Read My Mind, The Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald and Sundown, and for songs that told tales of Canadian identity. He was 84. One of Motown's founding artists and most gifted songwriters, Barrett Strong sang the lead on the company's breakthrough single Money, That's What I Want, and collaborated with Norman Whitfield on such classics as I Heard It Through the Grapevine, War, and Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Burr Bacharach was the singularly gifted and popular composer who delighted millions with the quirky arrangements and unforgettable melodies of Walk On By, Do You Know the Way to San Jose, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, and dozens of other hits. Cynthia Weil was the Grammy-winning lyricist of notable range and endurance, who enjoyed a decades-long partnership with husband Barry Mann and helped write You Lost a Loving Feeling on Broadway, Walking in the Rain, and dozens of other hits. Robbie Robertson, the band's lead guitarist and songwriter, who in such classics as The Wait and Up on Cripple Creek mined American music and folklore and helped reshape contemporary rock. Sinead O'Connor, the gifted Irish singer-songwriter who became a superstar in her mid-20s, was as much known for her private struggles and provocative actions as her fierce and expressive music. Shane MacGowan was the singer-songwriter and frontman of the Celtic punk band The Pogues, best known for the Christmas ballad Fairy Tale of New York. Jimmy Buffett, he was the singer-songwriter who popularized beach bum soft rock with the escapist Caribbean-flavored song Margaritaville and turned that celebration of loafing into a billion-dollar empire of restaurants, resorts, and frozen concoctions. David Crosby, the brass rock musician who evolved from a baby-faced harmony singer with the Byrds to a mustache hippie superstar and troubadour in Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. He was 81. Jeff Beck was a guitar virtuoso who pushed the boundaries of blues, jazz, and rock and roll, and influenced generations of shredders along the way in becoming known as the guitar player's guitar player. He was 78. Tom Verlaine was the guitarist and co-founder of the seminal proto-punk band Television, who influenced many bands while playing at the ultra-cool downtown New York music venue CBGB's alongside the Ramones, Patti Smith, and the Talking Heads. Gary Rossington, the co-founder and the last surviving original member of Lynyrd Skynyrd, helped write the classic Answer song Sweet Home Alabama and played the unforgettable slide guitar on the rock anthem Freebird. Randy Meisner was a founding member of the Eagles who added high harmonies to such favorites as Take It Easy and The Best of My Love and stepped out front for the waltz-time ballad Take It to the Limit. Huey Piano Smith was a beloved New Orleans session musician who backed Little Richard, Lloyd Price, and other early rock stars, and with his own group made the party favorites Don't You Know, Just Know It, and Rockin' Pneumonia and Boogie Woogie Flu. Trugoy the Dove was one of the founding members of the Long Island hip-hop trio De La Soul. He was 54. Astrid Gilberto was the Brazilian singer, songwriter, and entertainer whose offhand English-language cameo on The Girl from Ipanema made her a worldwide voice of bossa nova. Clarence Avon, the judicious manager, entrepreneur, facilitator, and advisor, who helped launch or guide the careers of Quincy Jones, Bill Withers, and many others, was known as the Black Godfather of music and beyond. He was 92. Jerry Moss, along with Herb Alpert, co-founded AMN Records and rose from a Los Angeles garage to the heights of success with hits by Alpert, The Police, The Carpenters, and hundreds of other performers. Rudolph Isley was a member of the Isley Brothers who helped perform such raw rhythms and blues classics like Shout and Twist and Shout and the funky hits That Lady and It's Your Thing. Speaking about funk, George Funky Brown was the co-founder and longtime drummer of the Kool and the Gang, who helped write such hits as Too Hot, Ladies' Night, Joanna, and the party favorite Celebration. Fred White was the drummer who backed up his brothers, Maurice and Vernon White, in the Grammy-winning ensemble Earth, Wind and Fire. Sexto Rodriguez lived in obscurity as his music career flamed out early in the U.S., only to find a success in South Africa and a stardom of which he was unaware. Sheldon Harnick was the Tony and Grammy Award-winning lyricist who, with composer Jerry Bach, made up the premier musical theater songwriting duo of the 50s and 60s with shows like Fiddler on the Roof, Fiorello, and The Apple Tree. And speaking of Fiddler on the Roof, Topol was the leading Israeli actor who charmed generations of theatergoers and movie watchers with his portrayal of Teviv, the long-suffering and charismatic milkman in the film adaptation of Fiddler on the Roof. William Friedkin, the Oscar-winning director, became a top filmmaker in his 30s with the gripping The French Connection and later the horrifying The Exorcist, and struggled in following decades to match his early success. He was 87. Ryan O'Neal was the heartthrob actor who went from starring in the TV soap opera Paint and Place to an Oscar-nominated role in Love Story, and deliver a wiry performance opposite his charismatic 9-year-old daughter Tatum in Paper Moon. He was 82. The trailblazing actor Richard Roundtree starred as the ultra-smooth private detective in several Shaft films beginning in the early 1970s. Piper Laurie was a strong-willed Oscar-nominated actress who performed in acclaimed roles in The Hustler and Carrie, despite at one point abandoning acting altogether in search of a more meaningful life. Burt Young was the Oscar-nominated actor who played Paulie, the rough, mumbling, grumbling best friend, corner man, and brother-in-law to Sylvester Stallone in the Rocky franchise. He was 83. Michael Gambon, the Irish-born actor knighted for his storied career on the stage and screen, gained admiration for a new generation of moviegoers with his portrayal of Hogwarts headmaster Albus Dumbledore in 6 of the 8 Harry Potter films. We lost some beauties in 2023. Gina Lollobrigida was an Italian film legend who achieved international stardom during the 50s and was dubbed the most beautiful woman in the world after the title of one of her movies. Raquel Welch, her emergence from the sea in a skimpy furry bikini in the film 1 Million Years BC propelled her to international sex symbol status in the 1960s and 70s. She was 82. Stella Stevens was a prominent leading lady in the 60s and 70s comedies, but perhaps best known for playing the object of Jerry Lewis's affection in The Nutty Professor. Tom Sizemore starred in The Saving Private Ryan, and whose acting career bright in the 1990s burned under the weight of his own domestic violence and drug convictions. Robert Blake was the Emmy award-winning performer who went from acclaim for his acting to notoriety when he was tried and acquitted in the killing of his wife. Lance Reddick was a character actor who specialized in intense, icy, and possible sinister authority figures on TV and film, including The Wire, Fringe, and the John Wick franchise. Rikuchi Sakamoto was a world-renowned Japanese musician and actor who composed for Hollywood hits such as The Last Emperor and The Revenant. Michael Lerner, the Brooklyn-born character actor who played a myriad of imposing figures in his 60-year career in the business, including a monologuing movie mogul Jap Lipnick in Barton Fink, the crooked club owner Bugsy Calhoun in Harlem Nights, and an angry publishing executive in Elf. An actor whose nearly 50-year career included starring roles in the TV series Everwood and the movie Hair, Treat Williams, died tragically in a motorcycle crash. Glenda Jackson was a 2-time Academy Award-winning performer who had a second career as a British lawmaker before an acclaimed late-life return to stage and screen. Alan Arkin was the wiry character actor who demonstrated his versatility in everything from farcical comedy to chilling dramas, receiving 4 Academy Award nominations and winning an Oscar in 2007 for Little Miss Sunshine. Paul Reubens was the actor and comedian whose Pee Wee Herman character, an overgrown child with a tight gray suit and an unforgettable laugh, became a 1980s pop culture phenomenon. The drowning death of Matthew Perry at the age of 54 shocked the world this year. In October, the Emmy-nominated Friends actor whose sarcastic but lovable Chandler Bing was among television's most famous and quotable characters. Norman Lear was the writer, director, and producer who revolutionized primetime television with All in the Family, Good Times, The Jeffersons, and Maude, propelling political and social turmoil into the once insulated world of TV sitcoms. He was 101 years old. Cindy Williams was among the most recognizable stars in America in the 1970s and 80s for a role as Shirley on the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley. Suzanne Summers, the effervescent blonde actress who played Chrissy Snow on the television show Three's Company, and later became an entrepreneur and a New York Times best-selling author. Jerry Springer, the one-time mayor and news anchor whose namesake TV show featured a three-ring circus of dysfunctional guests willing to bear it all, sometimes literally, as they brawled and hurled obscenities before a raucous audience. He was 79. Len Goodman was the long-serving judge on Dancing with the Stars and Strictly Come Dancing, who helped revive interest in ballroom dancing on both sides of the Atlantic. Ray Stevenson was the Irish actor who played the villainous British governor in Triple R and an Asgardian warrior in the Thor films, and a member of the 13th Legion in HBO's Rome. Richard Belzer, the longtime stand-up comedian who became one of TV's most indelible detectives as John Munch in Homicide, Life on the Streets, and Law and Order SVU. He was 78. One of his co-stars in Homicide, Life on the Street was Andre Brower, the Emmy-winning actor who would master gritty drama for 7 seasons on that show as Frank Pembleton, and modern comedy for Aide playing Captain Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Mark Margolis, Emmy-nominated actor who played murderous former drug kingpin Hector Salamanca in Breaking Bad and then the prequel Better Call Saul. George Maharis was a stage-trained actor with rough-hued good looks who became an icon to American youth in the 1960s as he cruised the country in a Corvette convertible in the hit television series Route 66. Jacqueline Zeman passed away this year. For 45 years, she played Bobby Spencer on ABC's General Hospital. Barry Humphries was a Tony Award-winning comedian internationally renowned for his Garden State persona Dame Edna Everage, a condescending and imperfectly veiled snob whose evolving characters delighted audiences over 7 decades. Michael Parkinson's, the renowned British broadcaster who interviewed some of the world's most famous celebrities of the 20th century, from Muhammad Ali to Miss Piggy. Bob Barker, the enduring dapper game show host who became a household name for over half a century of hosting Truth and Consequences and The Price is Right for 35 years. Angus Cloud, the actor who starred as the drug-dealing Fesco Fez O'Neill on the HBO series Euphoria, died too soon from a drug overdose. Ron Cephas Jones, a veteran stage actor who won 2 Emmy Awards for his role as a long-lost father who finds redemption on the NBC series drama This Is Us. Richard Mole was a character actor who found lasting fame as an eccentric but gentle giant bailiff on the original Night Court sitcom. Marty Krofft was the television producer known for his imaginative children's shows such as H.R. Pufnstuf and primetime hits including Donnie and Marie in the 1970s. David McCallum was the actor who became a teen heartthrob in the hit series The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in the 1960s and was the eccentric medical examiner in the popular NCIS 40 years later. He was 90. Lisa Loring is best known for her turn as the morbid Pigtail Wednesday on ABC's black comedy The Addams Family, a role she took on in 1964. She played the character for only 2 years, but set the template for live-action portrayals of Wednesday and was recently praised as an inspiration for Jenna Ortega's interpretation of the hit Netflix series Wednesday. Tommy Smothers, one half of the Smothers Brothers, hosted one of the most socially conscious and groundbreaking television shows in the history of the medium. When the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour debuted on CBS in 1967, it was an immediate hit, to the surprise of many who assumed that the network's expectations were so low, it positioned their show opposite the top-rated Bonanza. But the Smothers Brothers would prove a turning point in television history with its sharp eye for pop culture trends and young rock stars such as The Who and Buffalo Springfield, and its daring sketches ridiculing the establishment, rallying against the Vietnam War, and portraying members of the era's hippie culture as gentle, fun-loving spirits found an immediate audience with young baby boomers. Tommy Smothers was 86. In the world of sports, Robbie Knievel was the American stunt performer who set records to daredevil motorcycle jumps following in the tire tracks of his thrilling-seeking father, Evel Knievel. Jim Brown was the Pro Football Hall of Famer with an unstoppable running back who retired at the peak of his career with the Cleveland Browns to become an actor as well as a prominent civil rights advocate during the 1960s. Dick Butkus was the Hall of Fame middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears, whose speed and ferocity set the standards for the position in the modern era. Vida Blue was a hard-throwing left-hander who became one of the baseball's biggest draws in the early 1970s and helped lead the brash Oakland A's to 3 straight World Series titles before his career was derailed by drug problems. Tim Wakefield was the knuckleballing workhorse of the Red Sox pitching staff who bounced back after giving up a season-ending home run to the Yankees in the 2003 playoffs to help Boston win its curse-bustling World Series title the following year. Tim McCarver, the all-star catcher and Hall of Fame broadcaster who, during 60 years in baseball, won 2 World Series titles with the St. Louis Cardinals and had a long run as one of the country's most recognized, incisive, and talkative television commentators. Bobby Hull was a Hall of Fame forward who helped the Chicago Blackhawks win the 1961 Stanley Cup Finals. Willis Reed dramatically emerged from the locker room minutes before Game 7 of the 1970s NBA Finals to spark the New York Knicks to their first championship and created one of the sport's most enduring examples of playing through pain. And Bobby Knight, the brilliant and combustible coach, won 3 NCAA titles at Indiana and for years was the scowling face of college basketball. Knight was 83. Rosalynn Carter, the former First Lady who was the closest advisor to Jimmy Carter during his one term as U.S. President, and they dedicated 4 decades thereafter as global humanitarians. Henry Kissinger, the former Secretary of State, exerted uncommon influence on global affairs under President Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, earning both vilification and the Nobel Peace Prize. Kissinger was 100. Sandra Day O'Connor was the former U.S. Supreme Court Justice, was an unwavering voice of moderate conservatism, and the first woman to serve on the nation's highest court. She was 93. Dianne Feinstein was a centrist Democrat from California and a champion of liberal causes, was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1992 and broke gender barriers throughout her long career in local and national politics. Frank Borman was the astronaut who commanded Apollo 8's historic Christmas 1968 flight that circled the moon 10 times and paved the way for the lunar landing the next year. Ken Mattingly was an astronaut who is best remembered for his efforts on the ground that helped bring the damaged Apollo 13 spacecraft safely to Earth. Walter Cunningham was the last surviving astronaut from the first successful crewed space mission in NASA's Apollo program. Francois Guillot was a prolific and acclaimed painter who created art for more than half a century, but was nonetheless more famous for her turbulent relationship with Pablo Picasso and for leaving him. She was 101. Pat Robertson was a religious broadcaster who turned a tiny Virginia station into the Global Christian Broadcast Network and hosted the 700 Club, tried to run for president, and helped make religion central to Republican Party politics in America through his Christian Coalition. Cormac McCarthy was the Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist who, in prose, both dense and brittle, took readers from the southern Appalachians to the desert Southwest in novels including The Road, Blood Meridian, and All the Pretty Horses. John Goodenough, he shared his 2019 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his work developing the lithium-ion battery that transformed technology with rechargeable powers for devices ranging from cell phones and computers and pacemakers to electronic cars. Mary Quant was the visionary fashion designer whose colorful, sexy miniskirts epitomized swinging London in the 1960s and influenced youth culture around the world. Jane Birkin was an actress and singer who made France her home and charmed the country with her English grace, natural style, and social activism. And of course, she was known for creating the Birkin bag. Louise Gluck was the Nobel laureate, was a poet of unblinking candor and perception, who wove classical allusions, physiological and psychological reveries, bittersweet memories, and humorous asides into indelible portraits of a fallen and heart-trending world. And that is your entertainment report for 2023. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo, and I want to wish all of you a happy new year and whatever resolutions you have for 2024. Hopefully they all come to fruition. I'll be back on Tuesday to deliver some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's REYMELO. On Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app. Search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Everyone, have a great New Year's Day. Good night, and God bless you all.